This is Pakistan.
की तनख्वाह 40,000 रुपए से कम है।
Pakistan, the economic struggle is ever growing. The country is figuring out ways to meet the key objectives of its International Monetary Fund program.
हुकूमत पाकिस्तान अपना
Fearing to meet the fate of embattled Sri Lanka,
2,000 रुपया उसको दे रही है।
Pakistan would go bankrupt.
The fifth most populated country in the world is now going bankrupt. Pakistanis are running out of food, their currency is running out of value, and politicians are running out of options. In this video, we're going to explore the ways in which short-term policies and foreign loans have ruined Pakistan's financial system and discuss the potential risks and consequences of these actions. To see how this could affect the global economy, including your own, stick around until the end of the video. Pakistan is currently facing a dire financial situation due to the government's reliance on short-term policies, including tax cuts and the irresponsible acceptance of foreign loans. These factors have contributed to budget deficits, inflation, and a high level of national debt, which have all had negative consequences for the country's finances. To understand how the country ended up in this situation, we need to go back. Way back. Pakistan was created in 1947 when the British Indian Empire was partitioned into two independent countries, India and Pakistan. The partition was based on religious demographics, with the Muslim majority areas of British India becoming Pakistan and the Hindu majority areas becoming India. Since its independence, Pakistan has faced numerous challenges, including political instability, financial difficulties, and conflicts with its neighbors. In the early years of its existence, Pakistan was plagued by political turmoil and military coups, with several periods of military rule interspersed with brief periods of civilian governments. One of the major issues facing Pakistan has been its relations with its neighbors, particularly India. The two countries have had a long history of conflict, including several wars, and continue to have a strained relationship due to a number of ongoing disputes, including over the disputed territory of Kashmir. Pakistan has also struggled with financial problems, including a high debt burden and a large trade deficit. In recent years, the country has received financial assistance from international organizations such as the International Monetary Fund to help stabilize its economy. Overall, Pakistan's history as a country has been marked by significant challenges, including political instability and financial difficulties. It may have seen its most significant growth and progress in its earlier years, but the latest chapter of this nation is now in its most dire situation yet. The governing powers, regardless of affiliation, continually make use of short-term policies to please the people, digging the country itself into a deeper and deeper hole. Short-term policies like tax cuts can negatively affect a nation's finances in a number of ways. One potential negative of tax cuts is that they can reduce the government's revenue. When taxes are cut, the government collects less money from taxpayers, which can make it more difficult for the government to fund its operations and programs. This can lead to budget deficits, which occurs when the government spends more money than it takes in through taxes and other sources of revenue. If the deficits are not addressed, they can accumulate and lead to a higher overall level of government debt. Another potential negative of tax cuts is that they can lead to inflation. If tax cuts increase the overall level of spending in the economy, this can lead to an increase in demand for goods and services, which can put upward pressure on prices. If the demand for goods and services increases faster than the supply, this can lead to inflation, which erodes the purchasing power of money and can make it more difficult for people to afford the things that they need. Overall, while tax cuts can have some short-term benefits, such as stimulating economic activity and boosting consumer confidence, they can also have negative long-term consequences for a nation's finances if they are not carefully planned and implemented. It's important for governments to consider the potential risks and trade-offs of tax cuts and other short-term policies, and to consider the long-term implications for the nation's financial stability. Another detrimental factor that has plunged Pakistan into a precarious financial position is its irresponsible acceptance of foreign loans. Overall, while accepting foreign loans can provide a country with access to needed funding, it's important for the country to carefully consider the potential risks and consequences before taking on this type of debt. One potentially negative impact of accepting foreign loans is that it can increase a country's debt burden. If a country takes out multiple loans or has a high level of debt relative to its size, it may struggle to make the required payments on its loans. This can lead to financial problems and make it more difficult for a country to borrow money in the future, as lenders may be less likely to lend to a country with a high level of debt. It's for this reason that the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, is hesitant to bail out the Pakistani government. It's wary of loaning more money to a country that has not shown a good track record of translating loans into growth and increased returns. Another potential negative impact of accepting foreign loans is that they may come with conditions attached. Lenders may require a country to implement certain policies in exchange for the loan, such as economic reforms for favoritism when it comes to contracts. These policies may not always be in the best interest of the country and may be difficult to implement, leading to further difficulties. For example, Pakistan is currently in debt to Chinese companies and the Chinese State Bank. The loans total over $25 billion. Even worse, there are stipulations attached to these loans. Not only are interest rates more than double that of the World Bank or the IMF, and not to mention that the payback deadline is half the length of what is traditional in international loans. But no, it gets worse. Pakistan is actually obligated to hire Chinese companies to fulfill the contracts needed to complete the projects being funded with these loans. In this way, the majority of profits that Pakistan is producing with these loans are not actually flowing back into the Pakistani economy. Instead, Chinese companies are reaping the benefits, and of course, China itself. This is a sort of debt trap, and it has serious implications for the future of Pakistan. With all of these adverse factors pressing down upon the country of Pakistan, it is beginning to show fatal signs of collapse. For one, the Pakistani rupee is plummeting in value as locals and foreigners alike abandon the currency for more stable alternatives. At the time this video is being edited, the Pakistani rupee was only worth 0.0044 United States dollars, the world's preferred reserve currency. This means that the country is struggling to make ends meet when it comes to importing products for its citizens and the government's infrastructure. Pakistan is a significant importer of goods and services with a large trade deficit. In 2020, the country's imports were valued at around $56.4 billion, while its exports were valued at around $23.5 billion, resulting in a trade deficit of around $32.9 billion. Pakistan imports a wide range of goods, including raw material, intermediate goods, and consumer goods. Some of the country's top imports include crude oil, refined petroleum, plastics, cars, and cotton. Pakistan also imports a significant amount of machinery and equipment, including industrial machinery, transportation equipment, and electrical machinery. The country's trade deficit has been a source of concern for policymakers, as it can put a strain on the country's finances and contribute to a high level of debt. Now the country is mere months away from being unable to afford its most basic imports. A financial collapse in Pakistan could have significant consequences for the global economy. As a major country with a population of over 220 million people and a large economy, a financial collapse in Pakistan could have far-reaching impacts and could potentially lead to a global economic crisis. Here are a few potential ways in which a financial collapse in Pakistan could affect the global economy. Reduction in global economic growth. A financial collapse in Pakistan could lead to a reduction in global economic growth, as the country's economic downturn would likely have a negative impact on the economies of other countries that trade with or invest in Pakistan. Contagion effects. A financial collapse in Pakistan could lead to contagion effects, as investors and financial institutions in other countries may become concerned about the stability of other emerging markets or developing countries, leading to a sell-off of assets in those countries. Decrease in international trade. A financial collapse in Pakistan could lead to a decrease in international trade, as the country's economic downturn would likely lead to a reduction in demand for imports and exports. Disruption of global supply chains. A financial collapse in Pakistan could lead to the disruption of global supply chains, as the country is an important hub for the production and export of textiles and other goods. A disruption in the supply of these goods could have negative consequences for companies and industries around the world that rely on them. Overall, a financial collapse in Pakistan could have significant and far-reaching impacts on the global economy. So it's important for countries around the world to work together to prevent financial collapses and to promote stability in the global financial system. If you're interested in how other nations' economies are faring, you would be smart to check out one of our latest videos on Peter Zeihan's observations regarding China's precarious financial situation. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today, guys. We've been watching the situation in Pakistan play out, and as much as we hope for a miracle recovery, things just aren't looking good. So stay tuned to both our channel and your preferred news station to see how international financial institutions handle the evolving situation in South Asia. And if you enjoyed this video and learned something, support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel, Profit Protection. We'll see you in the next one.